Oh, got serious, guys.
Ooh, all right.
We did some.
All right, guys, how's everyone doing today?
Good.
All right, so good to have you here. Let's do this. Do we usually stand up loose on this?
Yeah, we stand up.
Everybody stand up. Let's
We're going to sell you some Amway, so stand up and get fired up. Yeah, we normally start with wins and victories.
Yeah, so let's start with wins and victories. What's been happening this week in your life, your business, big win? Laura?
It's not a win, it's just super gratitude of like what this group is. What day did we come? I came in the office one day this week. What day is it? That's where my week started.
Monday.
And I had like the nicest card from a person in our group that just made me feel so appreciated, and I was like, oh, okay, this is why we're doing what we're doing, and it just made me feel appreciated, so that was really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What's cool when you look at that wins, and gratitude is a win, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciated as a win. And it's something that I look at my own life. It's probably something I do enough to other people to tell them thank you for all the good things they do in my life. And guys, honestly, that comes back to our family more than anything often, right? To our kids, to our spouses. Do we really tell them how much we love them and appreciate them on a regular basis to make sure we keep moving forward? I know I had a team call this morning on the way out here, and I just had to stop real quick and be like, guys, just thank you, right? Like at the end of the day, to see what they do with like their skills far exceed mine in certain areas, right? And I love that we can all come together and love that. So yeah, that's a massive win. Thank you. So,
that's awesome.
Any other wins? Any other big things? Yes.
This is the first time we've dealt with it in all our years of flipping. Had a house come back positive for meth.
Oh, it's not your $2 million one, is it?
No.
Okay.
No. It was in Brigham City.
I was like, was it mine that I told you?
Yes, one of Lori's.
Yeah.
Sorry guys.
Lori's friend.
Habit.
No, it was in Brigham City, and the buyers ended up canceling. But then we got under contract again and told them like we were. Yeah. Well, we told them that we were in the process of it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, no problem."
Yeah.
So we've got it under contract.
Good job.
There you go. That's the funny thing, Jeff. I'm sure you've dealt with a lot of meth houses. I've dealt with a lot of meth houses in my career, and it's a little bit. So somewhere through it's scarier than it sounds scarier than it really is. How's that? Like you're about meth, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, right?
World's falling apart.
World's falling apart, but really what's cool is you get the right people in place, right? Meth mobs or whoever does takes care of the meth remediation stuff. You get them in there, they do their scrub. You might have to replace any permeable surfaces like carpet, drapes, all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you can still have an amazing house for an amazing family or person who live in there. So it doesn't have to be the end of the line, and that's what I love about real estate. Is you get into these worlds, you have this hiccup like meth, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's falling apart, but there's always a door to walk through. So it's really cool and awesome.
That's awesome.
We're proud to get you that. Way to go. All right, welcome in, guys. Any other wins that you want to share? Yeah.
I think we have a win.
Okay.
Jeff Boyson and his team have joined. Yeah, that's awesome.
We just connected with Jeff to come over to Real Broker with his team. Jeff is a top producer. If you don't know Jeff, you will. I mean, he is fabulous. He does a ton of transactions. His team does a lot of transactions. And the Jeff Boyson team, and they're awesome. I go back with Jeff long time ago. So anyways, back at Discover Realty, and so super happy to have you here with us today. Leaders Wanted as well. So I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
Thanks. Big deal.
We have a win online, I guess.
Let's hit it. So we have a big win. Jimmy is now officially a mortgage loan officer as of him passing the exam yesterday.
Way to go, Jimmy!
Cool opportunity. I love that there. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
come on in. Do we need another table? We might need another table.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Perfect. All right. Any other wins? Okay.
I think we're good.
I think that was good. Well, thank you, Steve. We're going to welcome up Carson from Visionary Homes. And Carson wants to come up here. Carson is a sponsor today with our Leaders Wanted. And he actually does have some snacks in the back as well. We can run back to the kitchen and grab some little treats, dishes. But Carson talks to us a little bit about, take 5 minutes to talk about Visionary Homes, what they're doing. If you have any questions, a great chance to talk to him as well.
Cool.
Yeah, there's muffins over there. There actually were more muffins, but they're on the garage floor. Going into my car and one just walked.
That's perfect.
There's not as many muffins, I'm sorry.
Carson also helped.
Are we okay to connect things?
We're going to try, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and try. Let's see what happens.
I'm going to throw off.
I don't know. You saw what happened this morning, Carson,
I mean,
so we'll see.
It's been a thing today.
if anyone's online, unmuted, can you tell us what you're seeing right now?
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know what that will.
I don't know what's going to happen. We're new territory here. We'll see what happens.
Our Zoom folks, if you can't see the screen, we're sorry. Just hang tight for a minute.
Let's see if we lost him.
We could have lost him.
Well, you just keep
You just do your thing. We'll figure it out.
I'll jump on Zoom.
That sounds great.
I should have left mine out. Sorry, Lewis.
That's what I see.
So,
That's my kind of morning.
I got
You just hit it hard in here.
well, I'm assuming I don't need them.
Yeah, just do your thing. Yeah.
Cool. So, have any of you done a deal with Visionary Homes?
I'm closing one on Friday.
Oh, are you serious? Where is it at?
Just right here in Penn City, in Hart.
Nice. Okay, in Hart with Donna, yeah?
Yeah, with Donna. I love Donna.
Okay, so some of you, this
cool.
might be
We might.
kind of repeat information, but for those of you that haven't, I'm sure you've heard of Visionary, but for those of you that haven't done a deal with us, hopefully this is somewhat insightful. So, I'm going to make kind of a bold claim, and you're free to test me on it, but what I hope to do is make your next commission with Visionary the easiest that you've earned all year. So, what kind of the basis for this, the reason I've come to believe this, is, so typically, let's say you're selling resale, right? You've got a seller's agent, buyer's agent. The seller's agent is obviously, we have our fiduciary duty to the seller, you have yours to the buyer, and sometimes that leads to some butting heads where I really want to protect this relationship and you really want to protect this one. And what I like a lot about working for a builder, and Visionary Homes in particular, is they want me to put the customer first. So you and I are kind of aligned with the same goal, which is let's help your buyer find what works for them. Of course, I would love for it to be a Visionary Home, but at the end of the day, I'm on the same page as you, is let's take care of the customer and also take care of our agents, right? Like, Visionary wants good agents to keep coming back working with us, and we'd also love repeat customers. So that's kind of why I think we make it so easy for you guys, is we are pulling a lot of the weight for you. So what would that look like? If you haven't sold with us, what is that process like? So let's say you bring your buyer, buy a model home, right? And you've never sold with us, you don't know a whole lot about the community, the homes, anything like that. So from that point forward, you can feel free to just pass the baton to me, and I'm happy to be the one that knows what's the HOA, what are the CCNRs, what do we have available, what are our pricing. Like, I will take the lead from that point forward. Of course, we can bounce off each other and work together to, take care of your buyer. But I really want you to feel like once you've brought them by, I can take the load off, and you don't have to be necessarily the expert on what we're selling. So, and let's say beyond that, let's say we end up signing a contract, right? And you don't really know what it looks like from that point forward. The nice thing is I will write the contract up, I will send the earnest money deposit link, I will schedule the closing, I'll take care of the blue tape appointments, the orientations. So it's really, the hope is that from that point forward, it's really, really straightforward. So that all sounds great. I might, you might not believe me, you might want to test this, but
I can vouch. It's very seamless.
So yeah, that's the hope. But what kind of the issue that I run into is, this is all fine and dandy, maybe you want to do a deal with us, but it really comes down to what your buyer wants, right? You're not going to have a buyer show up and you say, hey, selling with Visionary is super easy for me, so let's get you a Visionary home. So what can you do to actually get your buyers interested in even considering Visionary in the first place? So to figure that out, we have to know why do buyers choose Visionary in the first place, right? So you have to have probably some knowledge as to what Visionary Homes is if you're going to pitch it to a buyer at all. So for those of you that don't know, Visionary is a local builder. We've been building since 2004, so we're not one of those builders that has popped up in the last few years, even if you've only heard of us in the last few years. Visionary has been around for a while, and that just kind of builds some deeper credibility, right? We've seen a lot of issues, we've encountered a lot of things up until this point, and we've critiqued and changed things. We have a lot of move-in ready inventory. We also have the option to buy a lot and build a home. And there's a lot of customization options there that people can take advantage of. We have a really good home warranty and customer service. So after the purchase, there's a lot of help there. We have photo and video updates, for the duration of your project. And even for move-in ready homes, you can still use our app to chat directly with our superintendents. So it's just super streamlined, and we really try to make it a good experience. So here's some of those things. So let's say you pitch all this and your buyer's still pushing back. Of course, at the end of the day, your job isn't to push visionary homes on your buyers, right? But let's say they have some objections that are really more misconceptions than anything. I just want to bring up a few of those so that you can dispel them if they bring it up. So some people genuinely don't even consider new construction because they just think it's too expensive compared to the resale market. And I can only speak on Visionary's behalf, but we really are competitive with our pricing, and we really do 95% of the time compete with the resale market. So when it comes to pricing, usually that's not going to be an issue. Some people think that, new construction means I have to build my home. I have to buy a lot and it takes 8 months and I have to spend all this money to upgrade things. It does not always look like that. We have several move-in ready options. They can have a brand new home in under 30 days from now. So, and then some people just think that it's going to be a whole headache and all this work for them. And really that's kind of like I was telling you. We really try and make it as smooth and straightforward so it's not a headache for them. So I'm going to leave you guys a couple QR codes up here that you can scan. And one is for weekly updates and one is for monthly updates. And this is just so that you can get, based on your preference, routine inventory updates. So if you do have a buyer that's interested, you can just have that handy and kind of sound like you know more than maybe they would expect, where you can know what we have on hand, what our prices are. And then I'll also leave a few of my cards up here if you want to take my card. And if I have do I have 2 more minutes? Sure. So one other thing I wanted to tell you guys is we have a new community coming up in Far West. So yours is in Hart, but we have a new community called Legends Crossing that's popping up in 2 months-ish. So we're going to have townhomes and single-family homes pop up there. I don't have a ton of info on that yet. They kind of like to keep it a secret for all of us. But again, if you sign up for this, I can give you those updates. So that's definitely closer to home for some of you guys. But one other thing I really was hoping to emphasize with you guys is I sell predominantly in Brigham City. Not in the meth house, but in construction. And we have townhomes up there that are in, it's called North Point, which is North Brigham City.
It's a cute community.
It's a really nice community, and it is surprisingly selling super, super well. And I'm just trying to spread the word to people more in this area that people are more than happy to commute from Brigham City to work here. It's 25, 30 minutes. But you can live somewhere that, you're building equity, you can actually afford a home, you don't have to rent. And also, just kind of a fun fact about that is the people that work at Hill Air Force Base typically have to live within 30 minutes of the base, and we are right on that line. So plenty of people that work at Hill Air Force will move up to North Point Brigham City and just commute down to the base. So I'm just trying to spread the word about that because I just think a lot of people don't think to even refer people that far. Most people wouldn't even consider Brigham. So I'm just trying to say, if you have someone that you think would be interested, bring them by. And did you have a question?
Yeah, what are the starting price points on it?
So we have townhomes starting at $315 up to about $340 right now. I think our pricing's probably going to go up when spring hits, but as of right now, our move-in ready options are from $315 to $335.
That's your townhome option?
Yeah.
So what's your single family start out?
So we don't have single family.
Just townhomes.
We sold out of those.
Cool.
But we do have Tremont.
Far West. Do you know the pricing on there?
For the new community, I think our townhomes are going to be in the 4s, maybe high 3s. And then I don't have really pricing on the single family yet, but again, I'll get that up to you guys if you're interested.
What about existing in Hart, like
Hard. I think you might be selling our
There-
last
Is
home.
it pretty?
Yeah,
I
they're
know it's
pretty-
getting close.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
There was only one other house between
Okay.
the one we picked, and I think Donna said they
I
actually
think
just
we
got
have
it
to.
under
I think we're gonna
contract.
sell the model.
Okay.
last.
Laurie, how much
Yeah.
was that? The one that we went to?
$669.
Okay.
So
What incentives are you running right now for buyers?
So we're doing like a 10K lender
It's like
seller
one of my
credit
best
where we split it out with the lender.
Your
that's
preferred lender?
Yeah,
Who are you? Who's your
we're
preferred?
with First Colony and Momentum. So we have two right now. So yeah.
Thank you
Okay.
so
Thank you
much.
guys so much.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Quick question.
The people online are asking if we can get like a copy of the QR codes, or that, so I can share that.
Yeah,
We'll just share
in-
that at school if we grab that. We can just share
Yeah,
that.
and then we
I have
can.
it digitally if you want me to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, Carson, will you send that to me digitally, and I'll send it out to our group?
Let me text it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so a good reminder, guys. What I love. Thank you, Carson, for coming in, talking about it. What I love about real estate, guys, this idea is a real estate agent. You're going to be the spoke on the hub, right? On the wheel, the hub on a wheel with all the spokes going out. And you got these clients who are like, hey, I'm looking for something in the $350,000 range, and then your little light can go off in your head, and be like, oh, cool. I know something that can fit what you're looking for. It's a little bit farther drive, but it hits all your check boxes. Would you be, or how open-minded would you be to drive to Virgin City to get the house you want? They may be like, I've never thought about that, but if I can give you that option, then it might give them those opportunities. So I super appreciate Carson coming in and talking about that, because that's a big deal. Hey, Carson, as an agent, you might be connected to multiple builders, and you don't have to get, you don't have to marry Visionary Homes specifically, but if you have that connection, it can get you one extra deal or two extra deals. Guys, that's a slam dunk, right? Like, that is amazing. So I love the information we bring in with that. So let's jump into our class today. Dee, welcome in. Good to have you here. Yes. So as we talk about things, building an accurate CMA and telling the story. Stop guessing and start pricing confidently, okay? When you guys put a house on the market, on average, how confident are you that, like, I have nailed my pricing and I know exactly what this is going to sell for?
A year ago, I rocked it. Now
Okay.
I'm like, oh.
Okay, what's different now? Why now is it like, oh, what's changed that makes it feel that way?
Because I feel like for me right now, it's like you like get confident and you're like, I've hit this sweet spot, but everything around seems to either, like, there's no rhyme or reason, I feel like, for pricing right now. And you'll hit this sweet spot and you'll be like, oh, we're going to get multiple offers, and you'll sit forever, and then you'll have one that you're like, this one's going to sit for a minute,
And
and,
then it
you have
goes,
multiple
right?
offers, and
Yeah.
it's just like, I question my ability a lot.
Okay, no, that's really fair. Like, and honestly, it keeps us all humble a little bit, right? It'd be like, now let's
100%.
check ourselves, wreck ourselves, let's make sure we're really on track with things, right? So it definitely be tricky in a market where you're like, like this market's a little bit unique. And when you look at the real estate market now, obviously COVID-19, well, before COVID-19, after the Great Recession, the market kind of looked like this. It was almost 2 to 3% gain every single year. It was pretty steady. It was a pretty sweet market, quite honestly, right? And then you had COVID-19, and what happened in COVID-19? It took a small dip, and then it took a meteoric rise, right? It was like, just throw stuff out there that sells, right? And then you get the apex of the market, July of 2022, somewhere in that range. Kind of the apex of the market went, what? What did the market do? It went down, right? And then it took about a year-ish, and it kind of started to stabilize, but the stabilization did not look like post-Great Recession. It wasn't like this. What does our stabilization look like in this market? If you got to show it in a graph, what would it look like right now? A little flat, and then I like to look at it this way. It's flat, but also has peaks and has valleys.
I was going to say, it looks like this.
So
like
within
sawtooth.
it looks like a heartbeat. Is what I talk to people all the time. That is our market today. Is you got peaks and you got valleys, and yeah, it's a little bit flat, but there's a small gain year over year. Is what we're looking at. Nationwide, statewide, yes, we have an increase in home value, but it's constantly going between ups, highs, and lows. Vice versa. Why is that happening? Well, there's really a few reasons why it's happening. I tell the sellers all the time. But look, you have interest rates. People are like, oh my gosh, the interest rate just changed by 0.2%. I can't buy a house anymore. That's not true. They should be educated on what that really means to their dollar, right? How that spreads or changes the dollar, how far it spreads. But then also you've got geopolitical turmoil. You have wars that are going on in the world. You've got all sorts of fun stuff going on. So people take a pause and they take a break. And they're like, I can't buy or sell a house anymore, right? And then what I find, that pause last almost without a lot of variation. It's like 2 to 3 weeks. They kind of pause, like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do this, and they're like, I'm still looking on Zillow, and it's like they're on crack. Like, I cannot do it, right? So they're like, I gotta keep looking. They keep thinking about it, and then 2 to 3 weeks later, they're ready to move forward, right? Unless another crazy thing happens, they take a step back, they pause for a second, and they keep moving forward. So the reality is, we're in this market that looks like that. It's peaks and it's valleys. Those are some of the reasons why. But at the end of the day, people still get divorced. People still get married. People still have babies. People still upsize. People still downsize. People still move for jobs. And at the end of the day, people are still moving. And we have opportunities every single day to help people take advantage and get into homes. Okay? So that's just a little bit right off the get-go, like where we're at in the market and why we see some of the things we see. So when we price confidently, we're going to be more effective in helping people find the right house for them. So I want to run through this. I was going to do an exercise. We might do this real quick, but
Oh,
she muted.
okay.
Okay, so let me ask you: has anybody had an experience where they list a house and they listed? Let's say we take 2 different houses, and on the same street, you list house number 1, and then you see house number 2 come up, and they're drastically different price, but they're the same house, same builder, same lot size, same square footage. Has anyone ever had that happen?
I have had that happen.
So sometimes you're going to have it where houses are very similar, yet the pricing is drastically different. What's the end of that story look like? Let's say house number 1 went over, hey, I feel like it's worth this much. My neighbor said this much. They just said, yeah, let's just go with wherever you want. They priced the house $50,000 higher. House number 2 creates a tight CMA, prices at $50,000 less. What's the end story look like on those 2 houses?
The cheaper one sells.
And sells quickly. What happens to house number 1?
Just sits and then they
start doing what?
Drop in price.
Drop the price. And then what do they do?
Drop it again.
Drop it again. Then what do they do?
Drop it again.
Drop it again. And then where do they sell at usually?
90% of the
It's
other
for
ones.
less than what the other one sold that started less, right? Like, it's this crazy world we live in with it, guys. But it's all a psychological game with sellers, but also massive with buyers. How do you go capture the buyers at the right price, at the right time, and at the right place to buy your house, okay? So, when we look at this example here, so I won't actually pull this one right now just due to time, but I was going to have us run through CMA because I bet we could get this CMA on this single house, and I bet in this room we would get 6 different answers on what it's worth. Do you believe it? I mean, at least. I'm guessing we would run through this and we would find this wide answer or wide combination of numbers.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we have everyone online run a CMA on 2249 Craig Lane, Syracuse, Utah, and put it in school?
Well, and let's do that.
Was
so
that okay?
And everyone here, if you have your computer up, I'm going to have you do it a little bit with us right now. Let's just put this up here. Let's start kind of working through. We're going to actually, I'll use this one as an example as we work through the numbers on this. So start pulling in. If everyone here has a computer, throw it up there. And I want you to start doing whatever process you use for a CMA on 2249 Craig Lane, Syracuse, Utah. Now, I'm going to throw this out with a caveat. Everybody does CMAs different. So there is no one doctrinal truth to how you do a CMA, okay? I'm going to share what I do. It's tried, it's proved, and it's working now. So that's why I use it, right? You may have something that you're like, I really like how this is working better. Cool, that's awesome with me. Utilize that, that's fabulous. But maybe there's some pieces in this section here we can talk about that would help you in that process, okay? Is it best to bring the keyboard mouse over here?
Yeah, whatever you want to do. Do you want to sit here or do you want to go over there? It's going to be hard to look at the screen. You might want to sit right
I'll sit over there and then I'll kind of talk through things as well.
Everyone they'll be able to hear you just fine.
Okay.
They just won't see your beautiful face.
Okay, that's okay.
You know.
So let's go through this next part here is when we actually I'm going to talk about this before I jump into the CMA. But think like an appraiser, understand the definition of value. So often as an agent, we're looking at a house and we're trying to get, what are we trying to have happen for our sellers? We're usually trying to accomplish a couple things for them. When we list their house, what's the seller's objective usually?
To get as much money
Get as much money as they want for the house. But what is really their objective?
Sell it.
To sell the house, right? Yep. So all the time when I go into clients, I talk with sellers, I ask them, what's your biggest goal when you sell this house? And usually one says to get the most money possible. And I say, great, but what's your real goal? I really want to move to my new house. So we are trying to help you sell your house. Yes or yes? Trying to help you sell your house, right? So then we go through this process of what that actually looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through kind of the system I use in creating my CMA so I can tell a story to a client about how we're going to sell their house effectively for the most money the market will allow and in the time frame that works for them to meet their goals and objectives. So the first thing we have to do is we have to think like an appraiser. Go back one screen. So when an appraiser looks at a home, we look at a home as an agent, we're like, we got to sell this, we're going to give this a market, we're going to do the most money possible for my seller, yes, we're going to roll that direction. But understand, what is an appraiser's definition of value? Have you guys ever thought about that when you're listing a home? What is the appraiser actually thinking about? Because I tell my sellers all the time, I have to sell your house twice. Once to a buyer, and the second time to an appraiser. So why don't I just sell it once and get the number right the first time?
My appraiser says he's trying to think of who wants to buy that property. Like who, as they're looking at the market in a snapshot and they're buying in that area, why would they choose this property? And is that value there?
Absolutely. So and I love that comment, Lewis, because what you're looking at is what's the highest and best use of this property? What's going to bring the greatest value to this property? From Fannie and Freddie's definition of value, it says market value is the most probable price which a property should bring in a competitive and open market under all conditions requisite to a fair sale. The buyer and seller each prudently, knowledgeably, and assuming the price is not affected under duress or stimulus. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're saying in a normal market, in the market maybe what we are now, but what's the market say this home would be worth to most buyers? What's a fair and knowledgeable buyer? Now there's actually 5 categories an appraiser uses. Do you guys know that? There's 5 key categories they use to understand this definition of value. So what I would recommend is don't just throw more comp to the appraisal. Ask the question, what is the most likely buyer and what matters most to them? What's the highest and best use of this property? So when you start valuing your property from a real estate perspective, also bringing a little bit of perspective of what an appraiser is considering this property. So we look at 5 key things. Number 1, buyer and seller are typically motivated. They both have a motivation that's driving them to sell. Number 2, both parties are well informed or well advised, and each is acting in what they consider their own best interest. Isn't that fascinating in real estate? That we have 2 parties on really opposing sides if you want to, but really we're just in the same book. We're just on different pages. We're trying to get to the same chapter, right? That's all we're trying to really do.
Both have the same end goal.
Yeah, they both have the same goal, which is fascinating to me. You know, the sellers want to get the highest and best for their property. They want to sell. The buyers want to pay the least possible, but they want to get into the home. So somewhere there intersects with both parties say this is in our best interest. We want to move forward on this. Okay, reasonable time is allowed for export in the open market. For payment is made in terms of cash in U.S. dollars, and price represents the normal consideration of the property sold, unaffected by special or creative financing or sales concessions granted by anyone associated with the transaction. So just saying, hey, this is where it is, and if all of these intersect, then that's where the appraisal value comes in. Okay, so when you get frustrated with an appraisal that doesn't come to your price, I would just look at these questions and say, am I fitting the definition of value to an appraiser? And if you are, then you're going to be good.
Maybe one of your comps is 30 grand higher, but they have 2% seller financing or something.
It's a
it's like, wait a minute, that doesn't match one of those. Yeah.
So sometimes the appraiser doesn't know about all those things either. And so sometimes, like what I've done is, if I'm like, oh, this is a really unique one. Like I had a home that we sold for less than what the market value supported, but we also had a cash buyer with no agent. Does that affect my sellers can sell for?
It does.
1,000%. So I had an agent reach out to me and say, hey, what's going on with your listing? Like, this doesn't match with the other ones. And so I could say, this is what happened. So when you talk to your appraiser, make sure they know this is the situation.
Does it make your house worth more if you do like an assumable, like say that you have like a 2.25 assumable mortgage? Does it make it worth more? Was somebody willing to pay more money for that?
What do you guys think?
Depends. It always depends.
Yeah.
How much are they going to put down? Because a lot of people say that, oh, I've got an assumable 2.49. You only need to put $380,000 down.
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't make it worth it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? But if they just recently, let's say they owe what it's worth, and you can assume that with a very small down payment and get that great rate, then it possibly could bring more money.
Yeah, assumable mortgages are funny because a lot of people sell them as like, this is the coolest thing in the world, and it is the coolest thing in the world if you have enough cash to make up the difference between what's actually owed on the property and what the price of it is. So if you sell for $500,000, but they only owe $200,000, you assume the $200,000 mortgage.
The buyer has to
but the buyer has to come up with cash
Oh.
for the rest of $300,000, or create some type of financing with the lender where they do, if they wrap in a second mortgage or whatever it is, then I'll let them work through that side. But they somehow have to make up the difference of
I
that
see.
single
Okay,
mortgage.
that makes sense.
So, yeah. Anybody else, any other thoughts on that? Did we answer it okay for you?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
That's great. Thanks.
So that's where the market value is the intersection of these questions. All right, keep going on this. So gathering data starts on your initial call. So I want to just talk through, okay, what's my process and how do I make sure, because my goal as an agent is to be extremely efficient with my time, okay? I talk to agents all the time, like I'm really, really busy. Busy is good as long as it's productive and efficient. Busy is not good if it doesn't lead to closings. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. Okay, so like in my world, I can look at my world in the first quarter, January, February, March. And this isn't to brag, you say this is kind of the world I'm in right now. I'll have 24 closings done by the end of this month.
Awesome.
Okay? So we're rocking. We're doing a lot of business. We're tracking a lot of directions. And I can't just be busy running back and forth to different places. I've got to be very efficient and calculate with how I do my business and time. Okay? So when I get a lead, the first thing that happens to me, and again, it depends what kind of lead, if it's an on-lead or whatever else, but it's ultimately going to lead to a seller intake call. Okay, we're going to stop texting the person and say, let's jump on a 15-minute call to get started. Now, when people talk to a real estate agent, do they want to talk to you on the phone? Is that like the most exciting thing of their life? Probably not, right? But for me, the way I usually start the conversation is I'm like, hey, cool, I just got your information here about potentially selling a house in this location, right? Because they're not locked into selling. They're like putting their toe in the water, and they don't know if they really want to jump in the pool yet, right? So if I'm like, let's sell your house, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
No, no, thanks, right?
Wrong guy.
If I'm just like, hey, look, I heard you, I understand you're potentially interested in selling a house, but you're trying to get some data and information to make the best decision possible for you and your family. I would love to help give you that information. To get started, let's jump on a quick 15-minute call. How many people usually have 15 minutes they can jump on a call?
Yeah.
Almost everybody has 15 minutes they can jump on a call, okay? And then what you do is you make sure legitimately it's 15 minutes. That's it. And then on my call, so I do a seller intake call, and when I do the seller intake call, or on my lead sheet, you guys, it's the same conversation every time. It's a 15-minute call, and when I'm on that call, I get all the information I need to do an effective CMA. So what information do you need? Let's talk about you guys. Let's bring it out here. Like, what information do you need on this intake form to make sure you write an effective CMA?
We're going to know the address.
Okay, we need to know the address.
Yeah.
Okay, but what else do we have to know?
What they owe.
Okay, what they owe on the property. And I like to do two things on it, guys. I like to ask two questions. Out of curiosity, when you bought your house in 2019, I already know if they bought it in 2019, I'm doing the numbers in my own head, right? They should have bought it about this much. I'm like, what? Because this opens people up when it's on the phone, they've never met you personally. But out of curiosity, when you bought the home in 2019, what did you pay for it? And they're like, oh, we bought it in 2019, we bought it for $330,000. And then I say, oh, that sounds like an awesome thing. And let me ask you now, how much do you owe on the property? It's like a back-to-back question, because then it opens them up, and it's an easy conversation to have in that process. Does that make sense? And then why do you need to know how much they owe on the property? Or does that matter to you?
Yeah, you can do an estimated net sheet.
Yeah, for a net sheet.
Yeah, you can start running through numbers. Is this even work? Because I've had it before, guys, where I ran through numbers, and I'm like, this doesn't work. There is no way this CMA works. Now, I can definitely go out to their house. I can do the whole,
waste all your time.
Which could be a waste of time, and it could be helpful if they have a long-term goal to make things happen. But I've called people on the before going out and say, hey, I want to let you know these numbers are very, very tight. Tell me a little bit about your long-term goals. What do you really want to accomplish here? And if like, we absolutely want to sell, we kind of know the numbers are going to be tight, we know we want to sell, and we're okay even looking at a year out. Okay, we can do a lot in a year. Like, we can figure things out to make this work, right? I'm going to go meet with them. I'm going to connect with them. I haven't even signed an agreement with them, so they're connected to me, right? We're going to get things going in that direction, but it helps you understand what you need, what you need to do in order to get to where you want to go with them, okay? What else you got to find out in this call?
I always ask if they've done. Yeah.
Oh, I like it. Any improvements they've made, and that's one of my. So the way actually I'll tell the cadence after, but improvements. Well, this is the way I like to ask the question. I say, so tell me, what have you done to improve your property since you purchased it? And you get it's almost always two groups of people how they answer this. Number one, be like, oh, we've done this, and this, and this, and then I just blow up for everything they've done on the property, which is freaking amazing, right? And then you have a second group that's like, oh, we haven't really done a lot. We haven't done a lot on this property. And then I like to rephrase my question, say, totally get that. Like, they've only lived there for 3 or 4 years, something like that. So tell me, what are your favorite features of your property? And then they'll say, well, we kind of like this, or we like this. And then what I like to do is I just virtually walk through their home with them. I'm like, cool. And what are the money spots in the house, guys? What are the key spots we have to know about?
Kitchen, primary bedroom, livable space,
livable spaces, bathroom,
entertaining
RV
outside.
pad, backyard. Like, I'm just running through the house. Oh, cool. So tell me, walk me in your kitchen. What kind of floor do you have in your kitchen? Oh, we put an LVP floor in. Oh, cool. So you made a nice upgrade a few years ago, put an LVP floor in it. Oh, yeah, I forgot we even did that. We did that. Okay, cool. What kind of countertops do you have? Do you have mica tops? Do you have granite tops or quartz tops? Oh, we sell for mica tops. Okay, cool. Tell me about your cabinets. Are they original to the house? Did you repaint them? Are they new? Oh, the original house, we did stain them a couple years ago, served new stain. Oh, cool, great, that's great. So then also I've got an idea what their kitchen looks like mentally, right? I haven't walked to their house yet, but I've already got an idea of what it looks like, right? So cool, tell me about your primary bedroom. Your master bedroom is a suite. You said you had 3 bathrooms in the house. Usually it means you've got a ensuite to your master bathroom there. Do you guys have an ensuite? Oh yeah, we have an ensuite. Cool, is it this kind of bed? Like, they don't just get a feel for what the bathroom is. Have you guys painted recently? Tell me about the condition of your flooring and carpet. Oh, we haven't done anything to our carpet since we moved in. Cool. Like, do you guys wear shoes in the house? Like, tell me what condition is your carpet in. And that way I already know. And what I'm really doing 2 things. 1, I'm setting myself up so I can know the best information possible about their house. But 2, I'm helping to give them a framework for what condition their house truly is in. So when we go in the house and I walk them through it, they already know. Oh yeah, this is a slam dunk house, or we've got some work to do on this house, right? Does that make sense? So it's not like I'm recreating this conversation multiple times. I'm already creating a cadence of the conversation and communication. Okay? So those are some key things. Other things you're going to want to make sure you find out, okay? And this is how I do the conversation with them when I have 3 parts to my conversation. First, I found all their critical information. I need your name, I need your phone number, I need anybody that's on title with you or will be part of the decision-making process home sale. Do you have a partner or do you have a spouse? Yeah, I have a partner and whatever it is. And then we get, okay, I'm going to get their address, I'm going to get her number, his number, I'm going to get her email, I'm going to get his email. I want 2 forms of communication on both of them. A lot of times they say, oh, well, we only have 1 email, it's a shared email. Okay, cool. We use a signing program that requires 2 emails. If we ever need to use a second email, what would that second email be? Oh, yeah, it's this one or this one. Okay, cool. Like, I just try to get all the information right up front. And then I like to ask them this question. So tell me, what's kind of taking you on this big adventure to even consider moving at this time? Oh, I don't know. We just think it might be time. We've been looking for a while. Cool. Tell me why you think about moving. Like, you have to usually ask 2 or 3 different ways to get the answer totally coming out of them, right? But it's creating trust, building that relationship of trust, and helping them feel comfortable in talking with you, right? And then they'll say, well, look, we have 7 kids in the house, and we got to upgrade. Cool. You're in a 3-bedroom house now. We need to get you a bigger house, right? Whatever it is, we're going to walk through those directions. So now I know their motivation, I know their why, I know their information, and then I say, cool. Now let's talk about your house. In your house, tell me how much square footage you have, and give it your best of your knowledge. Because again, I'm going to double verify everything with tax records, but sometimes tax records aren't correct. Maybe they did an addition, but they never permitted it, so it's not actually showing on tax records, whatever it is, right? So what's your square footage? Oh, we've got 2,000 square feet. And have you guys ever done this where you go back to the tax records and you're like, oh, they have like 1,000 square feet more than what they just told me.
Yeah, right.
Or they have 1,000 square feet less than what they told me. So then it cues me to say, hey, I show on here, you told me you have 3,000 square feet, but I only show 2,000 on this. Why? What happened here? And they'd be like, oh, I was just guessing. I didn't really know what I had anyways. Okay, cool. Which happens a lot. Or we did an addition. We didn't permit it. I didn't want to tell you that. Like again, you're going to go through this whole thing there. And you just kind of run through that world, which is fine. Year built. When was the year built? Usually they'll throw out a guess. Oh, I think it was built in like 1996. And I look at them like, oh, it's actually built in 1998. Whatever it is, right? Just verifying data. Building style. Is it a Rambler, 2-story, split level, tri-level, patio home, etc., right? I'm going to find out what they have in their home. Why does that matter? Because that's how you work a CMA, guys. Bedrooms, bathrooms, garages. I have 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and I like to ask, okay, cool. On those, let's call it 3 bathrooms. On those 3 bathrooms, tell me, are they full bathrooms with a tub shower? Are they 3/4 with only a shower, or are they half with just a toilet? Oh, we've got one that's a half bath, one that's a 3/4, and one that's a full. Why does that matter? Because that's how you run a CMA, right? Yeah. The same data points, okay? So I'm going to grab those data points. What kind of garage do you have? Do you have a 2-car, 3-car, 4-car, 17-car garage? Oh, we've got a 2-car. Great. 2-car garage. Awesome. Put that in here. Then what percentage of your basement is finished? I've got 50% of my basement finished. Okay, cool. And then you ask the other question about pricing. And then here's the question I really love to ask guys as well. I love to ask the question, after I get how much they pay for the house, how much they owe on the house, I ask the question, obviously, I'm going to run my own numbers as well, but are you familiar with what prices homes have been selling for in your neighborhood?
You're getting their expectation.
I get a little bit of their expectation. Now, you can't simply rely on that, but it's a great barometer.
Can I say something on this?
Yeah.
I love the way you do this because you're letting them do the most of the talking, which they sell themselves. Then you're asking more questions than most agents do, so they feel heard.
Yep.
Then you're also making them explain the upgrades, which they now know, we have that stain on the carpet.
Yep.
We have this, we have that, where oftentimes sellers try and like hide that and just like, let's just see what he says, right?
Yeah.
But it's in the forefront of their mind. They'll probably tell you, I'm sure they tell you all the time, well, we probably need to replace the carpet, or we need to get the trim fixed, or boom. They're already telling you, which helps them mentally as they say it, price out their own home.
They're already figuring it out, guys, for me. Like at the end of the day.
That's smart.
So that's how you work through those numbers with them. And then I talk about all these cool upgrades they have in their house, and then my last part of the conversation is really simple. It goes like this. And you guys are welcome to use as much as you want, but I say, look, I'm going to do several hours of homework on your home to find out what the value is, what we could really sell it for. This is going to tell me about 75% of the story. The last 25% of the story we're going to find out through an in-person visit in your home. When would you have 60 to 90 minutes together? And like, don't meet separately, guys. It's not. Always meet them together, right? If you want to sit, you got to meet together. So when do you have time together to meet for about 90 minutes? And again, other appointments, people don't spend 90 minutes. That's just my world. I almost always spend 90 minutes in the house every single time I go. So when you have 90 minutes to spend together, and then I'll usually say, do mornings or afternoons typically work better for you guys? What day works best for you guys? Again, I'm happy to go on weekends, but if I can do open houses and other things on weekends, and I can focus on a weekday, that helps my business move forward as well. So I usually try to say those questions first, and then if we really don't get home until 6 o'clock, we both work, great, let's do it at 6 o'clock at night at your place on Thursday night, let's make it happen, right? Whatever it looks like on that end, I'm totally cool to make that happen. But guys, this intake call is massive. If you don't do the intake call right, your entire transaction will be a lot more difficult because you've not already given a framework for how this is going to run, okay? The last thing I do on this intake call, though, and I think this is really magical, after I talk about the 25-75, I then give them these 6 pointers, and I tell them every single time, it doesn't matter who I'm working with, if it's family, a friend, or someone I just met the first time, I say, awesome, I'm so excited to meet with you on Friday, whatever date, March 13th at 2 o'clock. When we meet, let me just give you a quick overview of what that's going to look like. Number one, we're going to sit down at your kitchen table. I like to sit at the kitchen table because that's where I like to meet. I believe closers meet at the table, right? So I like to go to the kitchen. I don't like to do it on the couches, guys, because when I'm at a couch, they're over here, I'm over here. I really can't show them data,
super uncomfortable.
Right? I want to be on their table, so I already set that up before I even go in the house. Okay?
That way they're ready for you.
They're
clean
ready
the table.
I walked in and people are like, oh, let's go to the kitchen table. Like, they have taken me to the kitchen table. I'm like, great, this is perfect. I don't have to even say it. So we're going to sit down at your kitchen table and we're going to get to know you and your goals. After that, I'm going to talk to you about my team and what we do to successfully sell a house in 2026. Okay? We're then going to talk about, after that, we're going to take a walk into your home. We're going to walk your home into 2 things. Number one, we're going to highlight all these amazing features in your house because it sounds like you have a really great property. Number 2, I am going to walk through your house and I'm going to give you a little bit of a honey-do list. And we're going to identify all the things together that maybe need to be worked on before you list your house to sell for the most money possible. So I'm already queuing about that's what's going to happen, right? And then number 4, we're going to come back to the kitchen table and review a report that supports what your home could sell for. And I sound like 5, I said 6, and then we will come ready with paperwork that lets us proceed and work forward and move forward together. And like I already set them up to say, hey, what are we going to do with the appointment? How's it going to look? And then we're going to sign documents when I leave your house.
Question, it doesn't, it plays into your CMA. Say you've done all of that, and then you get to the home, and they've told you, like, yeah, we just did all these great updates to our bathrooms, kitchens, whatever, and you walk in and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah,
they painted their house lime green.
Yeah.
But, or all do-it-yourself stuff, right?
Yeah, but that's like the update actually it's gorgeous.
But it's not
but it's very buyer specific.
Yeah.
How do you have that conversation without hurting their feelings?
Yeah.
They just got done.
Yeah.
And you're like, you have fuchsia and pink walls.
Yeah, here's the mantra you remind yourself of it. If you don't tell them what's wrong with their house, the next agent will that walks through their house. And they're going to turn to be like, why the heck did you tell me this is the wrong thing with my house, right? Well, I did. And then you can just document and say, I'm going to go back to it. So how do you do it? What I like to have the conversation when people have like light walls. I had one sell, she had an orange wall. She loved her orange wall. She's like, this is amazing. I'm like, it's awesome. And it fits your style perfect. However, we're not trying to sell this house to you.
Yep.
We're trying to sell it to most buyers. And most buyers in the marketplace, they don't like orange walls. I don't bring sunshine and joy and happiness to you, and I think you should totally do this in your next house. But in order to sell your house, for the most because you told me you want to sell your house for the most money possible and the fastest time possible, then we need to sell to most buyers. Would you agree on that? Yeah, that's what we want to do, Graham. That's totally what we want to do. Cool. Then if you want to do that, then we need to paint this wall.
Do you guys hear the neuro-linguistic programming and exactly what to say in his voice?
Perfect.
First of all the questions he asks are very easy yeses. Yep, okay, that sounds good. They're agreements. We'll meet at our table, we'll do this, we'll do that, and then at the end, we'll bring paperwork so we can move forward. You know how hard it is to say no mentally at that point? You've already said yes and agreed with him to 15 things or 5 things.
Yeah.
And
like,
if and then, that's great.
Yeah, you complimented them and like, yes, this is
because it's awesome.
This is joy. Let's do this in your next house. But what if they're like, well, we just barely painted it. We don't want to repaint it. Would you be like, well, then you probably need to consider a painter's allowance, or would you like that's going to affect your price?
Yeah, I just let them know like it's going to affect your price. Jeff, would you agree on that?
I do that.
Yeah, like
you have. I mean, you have to. You have to be the bad guy that has to say, I know you don't smell it, but your house smells like a wet dog.
Yeah,
You have to have the courage to say that.
Yeah.
They expect you to say that. You're there as the professional.
They'll thank you in the
And
long
I,
run.
and I do. I have to tell clients. I have to tell prospective sellers all the time, like, we're not here to show off your stuff. We're here to have a buyer walk through and envisioning themselves living in your home, and we need to have it in a condition and at a price point where the buyer has no excuse but to offer your asking price.
Yeah.
And this detracts from that.
100%.
We have to be careful about that.
Yeah.
I like how you just worded that.
Yeah, Jeff is an expert in this. He does so well with it. But guys, these conversations, they can be hard, they can be difficult, but really the only difficult is we make them difficult.
Right.
Just have the conversation. Be transparent with people.
I think they appreciate
it.
They
do appreciate it.
I mean, I don't think they're going to fight you on that. I mean, and
some do, but most don't. How's that?
Yeah, I mean, then maybe you figure out, maybe I don't want to put the paperwork in front of you then if this is not a good fit. But overall, you know, they're there to ask you, how do I get my home sold for the most money and quickly? Yep. And you're the one that's there to answer that question.
100%. And here's what's interesting, guys. When you know their why and what they really want, it's really easy to have that conversation and say, hey, you know what? I get it. You don't want to replace your carpet. You don't want to take your crap out of the house. You don't do all this stuff, right? That's okay. You don't have to. If you understand that here's what your price is going to be on this house, then we're no longer going to sell for highest and best. You're going to sell it for here because you don't want to do the work. I like to tell people, look, buyers are lazy. And
they are. They will pay $50,000 more for a house.
They will pay for done, right? Like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they're going to get more in closing costs. They're going to let less in purchase price, regardless of what the CMA value says, because your house isn't totally ready. And when they're like, well, but I just, but Graham, I really don't want to paint it. I'm like, well, guess who else doesn't want to paint it? Your buyer, right? So you can take it either way. You either do the work to paint it and get the money from it, or you take a reduction price and let them pay it. You choose. I don't care.
I just legit had a buyer back out of a house last night for that very reason. They started going through everything that they were going to have to do. And
it adds up. It's
you know what? We're going to just keep looking for something nicer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to do the
let's do CMA. So let's get through this, guys. So
before people online, can you see the MLS right now? If somebody wants to unmute and tell. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so when I run a CMA, let's talk through, so this address over here. So we're going to say, what was my address I gave you?
2249.
Okay, 2249. So we're going to come in here. The first thing I do whenever I go into CMA, I'm going to say, cool, I'm going to find this.
Admit, I apologize. Up at the top, middle of the screen, right there, just admit them.
The big thing in the very middle.
Yeah. So it's worse when you're on Zoom and you're trying to tell somebody.
All right, so what I do first is when someone tells me their address, I don't do this on the phone. I 100% focus them on the phone. And then this is my homework afterwards, okay? So then I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, cool, they told me their address was
2249.
2249. Okay, so what I like to do is I go to tax records first, okay? So I'm going to go to tax data search. And again, I'm just establishing a baseline for what's real. Does that make sense? Because buyers are liars, sellers can be too. I'm going to hide that, sure. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. You can look at my owner name. It's a little bit painful. I always go to, you go parcel number, owner name, any one of them. I like to go address range, guys, on mine. That seems to be the most effective. So then when I kick in here, I'm going to say, all right, cool, I've got to find this address here. And I'm going to go, did I say 2249 Craig Lane? Is that the one I said? 2249. And then I'm just going to go Craig. Don't put anything else. Don't put Lane. Just put Craig. And then you're going to search. Down here, here it goes, right here. This is the home, right? So then I look at this home here and I say, okay, cool. This is the home. What am I doing? I'm simply verifying the data they told me, okay? So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to say, okay, year built, 2004. He told me in our discussion. What date did he tell me? Okay, cool. That lines up with what he told me. Check that box. I'm going to say he told me 1,700 square feet, but I only see building area at 1376. There's a change, right? Yep. So I'm going to go back here and say, okay, why is that different? And then you might come down here, and you might look down here and look at the map. You're going to say, oh my gosh, wait, hold on. He's got 1376 up top, but he has 1409 in his basement. So what is his real square footage of his home?
27.
Right, almost 3,000 square foot home. Guys, he was shortchanging himself on the call. He only told me 1,700 square foot. But it's neither what the tax record initially said or what this said. So now I can say this is where I got my data from. Because when you put your listing input form in online, you have to say where you got your information from for square footage, correct? And you can't say I got it from the MLS, correct? Yeah, you cannot say I got this from the last agent's CMA or the last agent's MLS. It doesn't work that way, right? You got to have it from a verified source, and your verified sources are tax records, building plans. You can do an appraisal measurement. You can do things like that, but you have to have something that's verifiable. You can't lie on this, okay?
And Graham, quick question: I know we might go a little over. Do you have time to go over a couple minutes?
Yeah, I can go a few minutes over. That's
because we were recording this, so people could see it later. So if we go, are you guys okay with a few minutes over?
Okay, so we go through that, and then I like to do this, so I just double verify tax record data. And what I'll do is at the end of this too, I've got a link that's going to give you a step-by-step guide of how to do this as well. Cool. So you guys can scan the QR code for
you're
that.
freaking awesome.
and then I always go to previous MLS listings, okay? Because I like to say, okay, well, what does this house actually look like? What does it not look like? And I'm going to go click on every single one, quite honestly, when I do this. So I'm going to go through this, and then I'm going to go through them, and they're going to say, cool, Graham, I bought this house in 2020, but since then I've done this update to it, or that update to it. But guess what? I'm going to go through these pictures real quick, and I'm going to get a really quick idea of what their house looked like when they bought it. And they've already told me what they did to update it since. I'm like, oh, cool, like this is a really nice house, but I can definitely tell when it was built. You know, this house was built, what, 2000, something like that, I'm going to guess, 2004. So it was built in 2004. Yeah, it looks like it was built in that area. Okay, cool. They still have their Formica tops on here. I can tell they didn't update the tops. They look good then. They still look good now. I obviously enlarge the photos, but then you're just going to start working through this room by room and get a feel of what they're doing, because this is going to help you identify what's real on your CMA compared to your house. Okay, and because I already gathered all the information about the cool updates in their home, I can already start to envision what it looks like now compared to when they bought it. Is that fair?
When there's no previous MLS.
So when there's, and that happens, there's no previous MLS, it was a new build when they bought it, nothing in there. Yeah, then I always like to go to Google Maps. I won't do this right now, but I'll jump over to Google Maps, I'll put the address in there, and I'll at least go see the exterior of the home.
Yep.
Because I want to verify what does this home really look like, because Google Maps, while it's not always updated crazy recent, it's still somewhat updated, right? And if they have a trailer, RV on their grass, and they've got a whole bunch of crap in the front yard, I'm going to guess what the inside already looks like, regardless of what they told me on the phone, right? Like, you start to know how they take care of the property.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Yes, 1,000% true. So, that's what I do first. I go in and I take the tax estimate data, okay? Now, as you go through this, guys, the next step is I'm going to say, cool, now I'm going to start creating my CMA. So, I'm going to run my data here. So, I'm going to go in here. When I have a CMA, how many comps do I want?
4 or 5.
Okay, I'd say 4 to 5. You want at least 3, but you want no more than like 12. 12 is like excessive. I don't need more than 12. I usually like to find my sweet spot anywhere 6 to 9. It's kind of my sweet spot I like to get to. Just because how many comps does an appraiser use?
Usually 6.
They have 3. They're like heavily weighted. These are massive ones. I really want to consider. And then they've got another, 3 to 6, whatever it is in that range. So I like to be able to say, cool, an appraiser, here's the data I use to support this cell, and this is why I believe it lines up with your data. Right? Does that make sense? So I try to do that whenever I do it. So the next thing I do is to say, cool, I need to go create a CMA. So I'm going to say create a CMA, create new URE CMA. Now, again, you might use a different way to do it. This is simply the way I do it, okay? I don't use Cloud CMA. I don't use the other CMAs. This is the only way I do it on this. So I'm going to come in here. Now, I like to always make sure I clear criteria before, because if I've done a CMA previously, it doesn't always, it's the MLS is weird sometimes. Yeah. So just clear your criteria, make sure that's cleaned up there. And then when you do a CMA, the first thing I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to come in here and say, cool, stays Utah. First thing I do is I come down here and I say, cool, what kind of property type do I want for my CMA?
Single family.
Okay, I said property type, but status. What kind of status do I want for my CMA?
I like
Active, backup, under contract, sold.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do three. I'll do three.
Sold under contract.
I'll do sold, under contract, backup, and I actually make 2 CMAs. Most people do that. I make 2. So my first CMA is going to be just my sold. Now it automatically throws in a date that's 1 year behind where we are now. I don't always like to do that. I like to start because an appraiser wants something a year at most, but they want more recent data, right? So if I can, I'll be like, cool, can I go 30 days back? Not using the smart, not home sellings. During COVID, you can like 30, 60 days and all day long, you're great. So I like to usually start my data at like 180 days, okay? I go 180 days back is what I need. And then I go property type. So for this home, what kind of home do we have here, guys? Single family home. What kind of style do we have here? Rambler. Okay, so I'm gonna come in here and say, cool, I'm gonna go Rambler. Yeah, but what if they have a neighbor that sold that was a 2-story? Should I pop in the 2-story? Could. Is it really
I would look
the most
at the
helpful?
Ramblers first, though.
Yeah, I'd only stick with Ramblers. Like, don't put anything else in, just keep Ramblers. Let's go for that, okay? And then I'm going to come over here, so I match the home style when possible. And then here's your other key things you look at. And you really, when you auto-populate the MLS, it's going to give you a lot of stuff. Look, all that really matters are 2 key things at the end of the day. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to say, sorry, I have a Mac, and you roll it the other way.
I know, I'm sorry. We haven't caught up yet.
So there you go.
Fix all our glitch problems.
So the first thing I look at is year built. What's the plus or minus on year built?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years, okay? Depends on how old it is, okay? So most homes I'll do 10 years. However, if my home was built in 1942, what am I going to do in my...
Old is old.
30 years, yeah, 30 or more years at the end of the day, right? So this home, when was this home built?
2004.
Okay, so I'm going to start here 1994, and then I'm going to come over here and go 2014. Now, honestly, 2014 may be too much of a stretch if they haven't updated their house. Does that make sense? So, like, I may go back and relook at this and be like, oh, it wasn't quite what they told me it was, because they still have my countertops, they still have this, still that. It doesn't really jive with the 2014 house, but it does jive with the 2010 house, right? And in 2010 below. So I may tweak this as we go through this, but initially that's what I'll put. Total square footage. What's my plus or minus on square footage?
500 or so.
Yeah, 500 square feet is pretty easy way to do that, guys. You could say, hey, I'm going to go up to 20%. Sometimes you can do a percentage on houses, 500, 1,000, whatever it is. You can do it that way. So on this house, my square footage on this house was, how big was my square footage?
2,700.
Okay, so where do I want to go my square footage?
2,200.
Okay, let's go 2,200 to 3,200. Now, what's interesting, there is an interesting conversation about this. These are just things to keep in your mind, just as you're thinking through CMAs. Is there typically a price differential when you jump over major square footage points? Yeah, there is, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at,
4,000
if all of my numbers, let's say all my comps here are 3,200 square feet, I'd be really hard pressed to say those all compare to a 2,700 square foot home.
Right.
Because you go over a threshold of 3,000 square feet. It's a difference maker in a home, okay? And then we'll come over to my map. When I kick my map, I always like to use the radius tools.
This
So I
is
go.
making me feel so good right
I know,
now.
so I do.
Because I'm like, this is how I do it. I'm
Perfect.
not
So
a complete
I go
idiot.
radius tools, and then when I click on my radius tools, guys, how far should my distance be?
I normally do a
Depends on
mile.
how populated the area.
Yeah.
Depends is the
miles.
answer, right? I like to go a mile right off the get-go. What's my address again? 2249
Craig Lane.
Craig
You can
Lane.
put the MLS there too.
You could absolutely. And that's a lot easier. Just do the MLS. But so I'll set the criteria. I'll go in here, and boom. Here's all the homes that sold. So right off the get goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey, 10 comps. That's a really good list to start from. I'm really happy about that. So I'm going to say hide my map, and I'm going to go to view results. I click in view results here. I click all of these. Okay. Now I do like to do a quick double check on these. Like, hey, where are these selling at? 518. Oh man, I've got
a million.
I got 620. Because sometimes you'll see something like, oh, this is way different, right? But okay, I have a 613, the 518, and maybe go back to the lead sheet and say, okay, where did he tell me he thought his numbers would jive between? And then I can start running that data on it, right? So if I start running this data on this guy, he's like, oh yeah, my neighbor sold anywhere from, if he tells me 400 to 500, I've seen a couple 600s in here. I'm like, I wonder what upgrades these houses had that his did not, right? But I'm not going to start there first. I'm just go here, view report. So I go to CMA report. Where you go? There you go. So I'm going to go CMA report on that. Open this up. Now, the next thing you can do on this guy is this is where you can either take the data straight from his document or you can populate CMA data. It doesn't matter which way you go with it usually. You just want to make sure it's verified and accurate. So I could come in here and say, cool, just give me this, copy it, and then I'll come down here, say populate my subject data. Is it Control V? How do I
Control V.
It is Control V, all right.
Oh yeah, you're
That's
the
the same
Apple.
one.
I'm sorry, the Apple guy.
You're the Apple guy.
So here we go.
man.
So it populates these things in, but I do want to double verify because I talked to him on the phone and he said, actually, we have 5 bedrooms. Okay, cool. So I got to switch this to 5 bedrooms now. He still has 2 bathrooms. He's got an unfinished bathroom basement. I'm not going to count it. He has a full bath, 3/4 bath. That lines up. Okay, cool. Everything
basement
here.
finished was like
and then
50%.
basement finished. Look, over here it's 0, but really it's 50%. Okay, so I got to make an adjustment there because that affects it. Okay. So I'm looking at these numbers here, and then I go year built, 2004, garage capacity 2, 0.16. It starts to give me a number right off the get-go. It tells me my sold data is what? 524, right off the get-go. Now, I do want to do one thing with this too, and that's over here. The MLS a few years ago made a change on how they do data, right? Or how they store your data, what they cost it. So you can always go edit or create new if you haven't done that yet, okay? So I went to edit. These are values I put in. You may have different values. I talked to an appraiser who kind of gave me some insight onto what values I should put. So this is what I put in here. So I said, okay, cool. I need these key criteria. Bedrooms, bathrooms, 3/4 bath, half bath, level 2 square footage, level 1 square footage, basement finish, total square footage, year built, garage capacity, carport capacity, and acreage. And then I come over here, I save it, but it's already saved, so I don't have to save this one. But in here, it's already gonna auto-populate my numbers on the side. So a bedroom's worth roughly $1,000.
Could you share your numbers?
Sure, yeah, you guys can take a screenshot of this as well.
Can I throw in something?
And it'll be recorded. It's recorded too.
I just had an appraiser tell me that full baths and 3/4 baths, they appraise them the same now.
Oh, they do. Okay, so see that there's a change. Usually they did it on fixtures, right? It was, but some of your 3/4 baths with those big showers, they absolutely. But you may want to be. I would be just cautious a little bit on that because I want to make sure if it's like a little space, little quarter shower thing that's terrible, then I probably wouldn't give that the same value as a full bath. But otherwise, you're right. So these numbers are not doctrinal truth. They're simply they adjust. I give a number for level 2 square footage, level basement square footage, etc. Basement percentage finish. I'll go through all these numbers here, and you're welcome to take a picture of it. Garage capacity. This is a little bit unique. I give a baseline of 10,000. Although there is this number, I do adjust sometimes. If I'm like, oh yeah, this 3-car is definitely making something worth a lot more, then maybe I'll give a garage a $15,000 value or whatever. Does that make sense?
I'll do the same thing, especially if there's only like one comp, because there is a big difference between 2 and 3 cars.
There's a massive difference.
In one of my South Jordan listings, there was like a $50,000 listing.
Yeah,
because it was $1 million house. Like, I'm not buying it unless I can put my side by side.
Yep.
It's like,
And then over here, you're going to see here, okay, this is a Rambler, so I'm going to keep it as a Rambler, but if it's a 2-story, I'm going to click a 2-story on this and then adjust my number slightly to justify square footage on the upper levels and basement levels. Because again, they're all priced a little bit different and what people see value in them. Okay, so just a real brief, like that's what I do with this. And then I'm going to go create the CMA packet. When I go create the CMA packet, and one thing, let me go back. Actually, I won't do this. Yeah, let me save this because sometimes MLS is funny. So I'm going to come in here, prepared for. I'm going to simply say, hey, this is prepared for. I can put a name in here, whatever name you want. And because I do 2 columns, I'm going to put a sold CMA. I'm going to put an active CMA. So this is my sold CMA. I'm going to come in here. Agent is Graham Allen. I like to brand it as well, so I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to put image upload. I'm going to put you can put your team logo if you want. You can put just a real broker logo. I don't care, whatever you want to put in there. You put something in there, and you come down here, and you got to say, okay, what's the data I use to find this information? So I like to come in here, going to type in 1 mile radius, and then come down here, and then you got to do all the other comps. So if you just go to search criteria on the left-hand side over here, then I can come in here and I can say, okay, great. I've got state is Utah. If I can do this, state is Utah. Come in here and at least that. So, and why do you think I'm gathering this? Why am I taking the time to put this on my CMA, guys?
because they'll see it and then you'll remember if you
Absolutely.
look at it too.
This is part of my storytelling process. When I go in and talk to people, it's telling a story. Oh, am I doing this wrong? How do I do this? I'll go from
Control, yeah, there you go.
Okay. Or Control V, thanks. All right, so here we go. The other thing in here is how do you create your CMA packet? What documents you actually want in your packet? So I like to have the cover sheet. Yes, put the cover sheet in. What else am I going to have in my packet?
I like the full comp details.
Okay, so I'm going to go where you like to do full comp, and
Yeah,
everyone
what
does
do
this
you do?
different.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what I do. I don't do full comp details. I actually do comparison report.
Okay.
I do summary analysis, and I do map report. And I take my map and I scoot it up here, so that's the second page we see.
Nice.
I did not know you were
So there you go, guys. There's the coolest thing. This is worth the whole training right there, okay? And then I'm gonna come in here, and because the CMA is fun and exciting to work through, I'm gonna save this as soon as possible. So I'm gonna go cool, save CMA, and I'm gonna title this exact same thing I just titled it as. Garcia sold CMA, and then I'm going to obviously I'm doing this like turbo speed, right? I spend a lot more time going through this, but I'm going to say CMA, and I'm going to go print PDF, and I want to see what this looks like on here. I just want to double verify it has all my information accurate in this. So, okay, cool, all this is here on that guy. Close. And then it gives my map view, so I can see, okay, cool, here's their house, here's all the other houses, here's the under contract, here's the sold. And then here's the houses. Okay, cool. Do those all line up? Do those all match with what I'm looking for? In fact, I'm selling that house right here.
Yeah,
so I'm going to go through that, and we're going to come down here. And then this is the property sold, okay? So now let me just talk you through how I actually use this CMA to tell a story, okay? And I'm going to repeat the same thing for active, okay? So I'm going to go back to almost the same process now on active. The only key difference is when I do it for active, guys, I don't care when it's built. I don't even care the property type. All I care about when I look at my active CMA is what? What am I looking for?
Your competition.
What's
selling?
I'm not even looking at mileage.
I'm looking at the city.
All I'm looking at is the city. So if this is in Syracuse, I'm looking at everything for sale in Syracuse City within a price range.
Because that's what buyers
So I'm already going to give a guesstimate on this price range. Hey, this is our competition. Our competition is anywhere from, let's call it $475 to $550. Let's call those maybe it's $450 to $550, but somewhere in that $100,000 to $50,000 range. I'm going to say this is our competition, and now I know what my actions are doing. And I'm going to print out a very similar report. So now I'm doing two things in this report. I'm saying here's what's sold, here's what's active. So this is what is actual real, and this is hopes and dreams. And let's bring those together and see if they line up and intersect. Okay. So then the other magic of this is I'm then going to print this off. I'm going to download this if I can real quick. All right, so let's just come in here. I'm going to have you, can you actually,
Yep.
So I can stand up here. Maybe I'll have you drive and highlight a few things for me. So just keep it on this first page here, guys. So the next thing I do is I then print off my document. This is where the real magic of CMA comes in place, guys. Is I did my homework, told me 75% of the story, right? For the last part of the story I get through going through the house. So I've got to know my numbers and my data really, really well. So I actually spend quite a bit of time on my CMAs to make sure I understand them really well. So I generated the CMA, I created the CMA packet. Now we're going to analyze the data. What I like to do on this data is the first thing I do on the cover sheet, I like to find out, write the number of homes that sold in my search period. I'm trying to figure out the sales velocity. So what I know here, how many homes sold in the last 6 months? I have 10 homes on that sheet. So 10 homes sold in the last 6 months. And then what you do is you simply calculate the sales velocity. It's 10 divided by 6 equals your sales velocity per month. How many houses per month are selling? It's just a data point to sell with the seller, so they know this is what's happening in my area, okay? Then I go back through and I'm going to say, okay, cool. When I go to the appointment, this is where this first page becomes magical, because I can say, look guys, I have to sell your house twice, once to the seller, once to the buyer, once to the appraiser. I'm gonna come here late, let me tell you exactly how I searched your home, how I gather your data. I'm doing what an appraiser does. So I went through, I said I'm doing 1 mile radius. I went everything that's sold, under contract, or backup. I went only 180 days back because I want to know what's happening recently in our market. If it happened 2 years ago, it doesn't matter, right? Then we'll go back and say, show me everything that's a Rambler Ranch, apples to apples. I'm going to go year built. I got to do something within a like time frame, within 10 years, and then I'm going to do within about 500 square feet. So as I've done that in my conversation with them, as I'm showing them the data after I've done the walkthrough of the house, I already know what the actual picture of the house looks like in my mind. I'm now saying now in data, are they gonna counter anything that I'm doing on my dot? This is transparent. Let me show you exactly what I did to get my numbers, okay? I go to the next page here. And then on this page, this is what you do. Go about there so I can see there. Perfect. So on this map view, this is the other magic of it. I print it out beforehand. And I write all over my notes, guys. I write on this, and I use this as my conversation. And I say, cool, your house is right here. I circle this in advance. And then I do here is I'm going to list the prices next to each home. And people love, they love this piece of paper right here, guys, because they're eating it up. I'm showing, what I want you to do is my map analysis, I'm showing them the story. Let me show you what's happened real time in your area. I heard my neighbor John sold for $500 million, right? Yeah, you probably did, okay?
Yeah.
So let's show what John really sold it for. This neighbor over here, yeah, he sold this house for $525,000. Oh yeah, the neighbor you said sold for $700,000. They did sell for $700,000, but they also have a house that's 5,000 square feet. It's a different home, so it doesn't even show up on our documents here because no one's going to actually use that to comp your house. Does that make sense? So that's the conversation we're having. But this is beautiful because it gives them a real quick snapshot what they are. And what am I doing, guys? I'm already setting a framework up for them to price their house. This one sold for $625. This one sold for, this one's under contract at $675. This one sold at $525, $530, $540, $450. So all of a sudden they're seeing the numbers. This is you can't argue with data. Okay? So now I'm going to go through the next page. So I've showed the story. Now I'm going to tell the story. Keep going past this page. I just showed what the houses they're looking at comparison-wise. I'm going to tell the story. So scoot down to about right. Where goes the list price? Actually, start with there. Go up a little bit. Okay, right there. So what I do on this, and this is you can do whatever you want. This is how I do, and I find it really critical. Is number one, I'm going to underline the sold price. Underline, underline, underline. I'm going to underline days on market. Boom across. I'm going to circle concessions, and I underline sold date. So that's what I do right off the get-go because that's the first part of my conversation is let's compare you to everybody else in the market. This one sold at $498, $523, $535. This one took 19 days to sell, 17 days to sell, 11 days to sell, and then concessions or closing costs. And I have this conversation when I'm going through the data. Let me tell you what closing costs are. Do you know what closing costs or concessions are? I have no idea what it is. Well, let me tell you. This is where the sellers are going to provide some type of compensation to the buyers in the process of them purchasing the home. And what is it used for? Maybe it's lender fees, maybe it's rate buy downs. At the end of the day, we don't really care what it's used for. They're just going to ask for it, right? Like that's what we need to know is they're going to ask for some amount. $5,000, $12,000, $30,000, $40,000. That's a ton of closing costs on that, right? So that's a no. I'm like, well, that's a lot, okay? And then come through. When did it sell? This sold in October, March, and then in November of last year. And then I go through. If it's equal bedrooms, equal, minus, equal. I go through bathrooms, okay? And what I like to do in my bathroom count, guys, is I just say, okay, cool, we've got 2 bathrooms. I do one of those little caret symbol things, and I say, cool, they have more bathrooms. They have 3 bathrooms. They have more bathrooms. They have 3 bathrooms, 2 and 1. They have more bathrooms, 3 bathrooms. I'm just trying to simplify.
That's a caret symbol.
Oh, sorry, I like that. Listen, whatever it looks like.
You should have said Pac-Man. You said Pac-Man.
So you get this little symbol like that. Some of that symbol, so it's really easy. Because, again, this can get like overwhelming.
Give me a lot of data.
Keep going through.
It can look like a Excel spreadsheet. They're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I gotta go through this kind of quick, right? So I'm trying to get that. Okay, they're more. I don't highlight level 1 square footage, basic square footage, but I do highlight basement finishes. Oh, they all have more bathrooms. This is why they finished their basement off 100%. That 3rd bathroom is in the basement. That's where it's at, right? Or whatever it is, right? And then we come here on total square footage. I do make a plus minus, and I put how much. And I just round it up. So I'm 2787. This is 2500. Okay, so you're roughly 275 square feet larger, right? Okay, cool. So I'm going to put a plus there, or minus here. You're minus 2500. I'm going to put here minus 500, whatever it is, minus 300, something like that, right? So I put the numbers in place there. And then on year built, I'm going to go year built, put a minus, put a minus, put a minus. Garage capacity equal, and then over here on acreage, I put bigger plus. That's all I'm focusing on, and I do that for every single page. Okay, so now I just told them the story, right? I showed them the story, I told them the story, and then go to the last page. Now I have to summarize the story for them. Okay, so we looked at all the data together. As I look through the data here, let me just give you a full summary picture of it. And there's only a few key things I really focus on. Okay, number 1, I'm going to focus on days on market, 23 days on market. So that's what they should expect would be a reasonable time to sell their house in. Okay? And come over here. Your concessions. Average concessions was $10,000. They should budget about $10,000 in concessions because that's what the data tells us. Regardless if they want to or don't want to, that's what they should plan for. And they're always like, well, are you going to tell the people I'm going to give you $10,000? And I'm like, no, I'm never going to tell them I'm going to give them $10,000. But you need a budget within reason for certain amounts of money on concessions, okay? And then I like to do this, your average price per square foot. I like to circle that number, and then I circle the low. So the low here is going to be 183, and I like to circle the high, which is 221, right? So I like to circle those 3 documents there, and then I like to do the math on bottom. So I'll say, so like someone do that real quick for me. Not the price per square foot sells a house, but buyers like to see it, so do sellers. So give me your 201 times, how many square foot? We're 2740.
27. 67?
2787. So we'll go 2787.
Times 183.
510.
Okay, so 510,000. Does that line up pretty close to where my numbers told me it was going to line up anyways on my CMA? Go to the sold. Go to my go up. I want to see sold. I don't really care. Yeah, so my sold is 25. Okay, kind of fits in that world. Where's the high price on that square footage selling at?
Was it 221?
It was 221. Yeah.
615.
Okay, are they worth 615? Probably not, right? So then it gives them this really big range, and the low is going to probably put them at 475 or 480,000. I'm guessing somewhere in that range is where it's going to put them at. But at least starts telling the story. I do the same thing with my active CMAs. So I said, here's what the sold data is. Let's talk about our competition is. And then on the active CMAs, I do the exact same thing on the front page. I say, okay, cool. Let's find everything's active. Let's get our how do you formulate active listings on the inventory of the market. You go active listings divided by monthly sales velocity. So in Syracuse, if there are 25 active homes right now, and you find that roughly 2 sell a month, then that's probably your volume, how quickly things are to sell, in addition to what you see on days of market. Just one more data point to consider. That's all it is. So then you go through that, and we showed them the data. We showed them the story. We told them the story, and then we summarized the story for them. So that's the magic of a CMA, how you use it effectively in an appointment. So then when I walk out of that appointment, let me. Any questions about this before I move on? And then we'll wrap this thing up here.
I did.
Yeah.
When you were setting up your criteria, you might have some 3-car garage or 4-car garages in there. You don't mind that. You don't say, hey, I'm stopping at a 2-car
I'm not going to stop it up front. So that's a really good question, Jeff. And I didn't go into details on that. So up front, all I'm checking for is square footage and year built. And then if I go into my second stage where I'm looking at the property before I create the CMA, I'm going to say, oh, this house is not like the other. This one sold for $750,000. Oh yeah, they have a 6-car garage in the back of the house with a massive shed. Yeah, we don't have that.
I just think one of the price, we've all experienced a 2-car garage and a 3-car garage.
It's massive difference, yeah.
There's a big jump.
Yeah, so I will keep them in unless it skews my numbers where I'm like, yeah, that's not true. Okay. I need to take that out. So I will keep it in and just massage the paper, the document.
I'm just thinking that if the high one was 221 and they're going, oh yeah, let's shoot for that one, and you're going, well, that's the one that was on it.
And then it leads me to a real conversation with the client. They'll be like, yeah, let's talk about this 221. In fact, I'll pull up this document for you right now. Let's look at the pictures. They're like, oh, that's a lot nicer house than I have. Or they've got, like, I'm getting them to no, so they get to yes, right? Does that make sense? Like, I want them to say every no possible. No, this doesn't work. No, that's not my house. No, this. Oh, yeah, this is what is true in the situation.
That's huge. Get all the no's out.
Get the no's out. I want the no's, guys. Give me the no's.
Yeah, good.
Because if you get rid of the obstacles, I love to ask this question, what about this doesn't work for you?
That's great.
Not what about this works for you, what about doesn't work for you? And they'll be like, well, it all works. Oh, cool, if it all works, then let's keep moving forward, right? If it doesn't work, let's solve the problem and find a way to move forward, right? Yeah. So those are kind of your key things just to consider as you walk through this. Can you open up my PowerPoint real quick? Okay.
Absolutely.
So I told the story in the CMA. So I build the CMA, I show the story, tell the story, and summarize the story. The next one here is I've got to go to right here. So I got to meet the client, tell the story, and create a custom strategy for them. Okay, so we've gone through these numbers. Here's what I like to ask. And everyone does this different, so do it how it works for you. But I say, cool, we're both looking at the same numbers. Where do you think your house is worth? Where do you want your house to be worth? Probably $1 million. That kind of breaks the ice. And then they'll give me the real number, right? And the real number is this. And honestly, it's pretty damn close to my CMA. And then I can pull up my CMA and say, cool, here's what our market analysis tells us. This little number here at the bottom, it says you're worth 525 or 545 or 7 million, whatever it is, right? That's where the market tells us fair market value. Your active says, yeah, you're actually worth like 700,000. Again, hopes and dreams, not reality. I'm going to focus on reality. Because you guys want to sell this house, right? Yeah, we want to sell the house. Okay, cool, then we're going to focus on reality. And then you have to meet the client. When you meet them, you got to meet them where they're at. So these are the 3 documents I use. You can use whatever you want. I use repairs and staging. I find out the cool things about the house. This is what I use for a walkthrough. Find all the cool things out. I reiterate bedroom bathroom count. I make sure I get the exclusions out of the way. Doesn't always work, but most of the time we try to get most exclusions taken care of. Hey, we want to keep the fridge. Hey, we want to take our washer dryer, whatever it is. And then what are some key principles to get the house ready to go? They're taking notes on their end. I'm taking notes on my end. And then when I'm done with the appointment, I email them all my notes on this.
Fantastic.
You shared those. Would you be willing to share these?
I mean, you sent it to me, right? This is my document, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can share it with your permission.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, what you can do is just, I got a QR code at the end.
Okay, perfect.
I'm just going to share it. I'll share it all down, okay?
Yep.
And then on this one here,
Dropping bombs everywhere.
you're going to, this is my net sheet, guys. I'm super old school. I don't do electronic. I just do it by hand, and that's just the way I do it, and I like it. So, but what I've done is I already know for the most part where their net's going to lie. Without seeing their house, I've done enough homework on the front end. I can go and probably say, hey, your house is worth this. I've just verified, again, I verified the last 25%. I know your numbers, right? So I'm going to come here, and I like to give people a high and low. I say your high price, let's call it $550. Your mid price is $525. Your low price is $500. Whatever those numbers might look like, right? Based on what I really feel when I go through the house. But then I like to go through this because what really matters to sellers, not what they sell their house for, it matters what they net, right?
Hey,
and so you
Lewis.
Oh,
Grandpa.
yeah.
Can you guys share the screen again? Sorry, we can only see the room, so we can't see.
Oh, yeah, since you're stopping us.
Oh, what in the world? I guess that's important. I thought you guys could. Sorry. Thanks for cut. Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
It is
Far right.
Far right. Sorry.
Okay, so then I go through this net sheet here, high, mid, low estimates, and this is beautiful to use because then I'm going to say here, I'm going to come on this side, sorry to these people on this side, I'm going to go through your estimated sales price, your 6% agent commission, or 5%, or 4%, whatever they want to budget according to the the ERS, whatever it is. Like, hey, this is what I want to do on it. Great, I'm willing to budget 2.5% here and 2% for you as a listing agent, whatever. I don't care. We're just going to put that number in there, right? So they have a number. Really do title insurance approximately 0.6%. So figure that out. Buyer's closing costs, again, estimates on every line. Taxes, what do I pay on taxes? Well, one of the things I like to, why I print out the tax records too, is I like to have that tax estimate right next to me. So when they're like, how much do you want your taxes every year? And they're like, I don't know, I pay, I think $1 million. No, you pay actually $3,200. Okay, cool. $3,200, divide that by 12. We're going to sell this house in June. I multiply by 6. That's how much you're going to pay in taxes. Now that's a funny number because you pay it front because the government likes their money up front, but you're going to get reimbursed on it on the back end, right? So it's almost a net zero number, but they're going to see as negative on the settlement statement. I better show it as negative on my net sheet. Okay? So I show that as negative. Then I have my admin fee. If you have an admin fee, if you don't, that's fine. I do. Home warranty, again, they're optional, but most people are going to ask for it, so I budget for that. And then it gives me their subtotal. Estimated mortgage payoff, again, I owe $300,000 on it. I subtract that out. Do you have any second mortgages, HELOCs, solar panels, etc. that we should know about? Because the last thing we want is a prize of $30,000 when we close on this thing. Be like, oh, I had no idea you got that, right? So I try to get all that information up front, and then that's what you have for your settlement statement total. That's what you're going to walk away with.
It's awesome.
Genius.
So that's what I do to everyone. And so I've already gone through all the difficult conversations, guys, just through presenting the information and having real conversations with it. I talk about their net. Now, go back up. One thing I do want to share on this. We had conversations about like, hey, if they're like, I don't want to change my carpet. I don't want to paint this room. Cool. Then you're probably at the mid-price. Is it worth $15,000 to be at the mid-price, to not paint? Oh, no, I'm going to paint. Okay, cool, that's great. I would paint too. Like, it's just these real numbers. Cool, if you don't want to do anything to fix up this house, then you're probably at the low. Yeah, I'm not willing to do this or that. Okay, cool. Then you're at the low estimate. And if that works for you, that works for me. That's great. Let's run. Let's make this happen for you. Again, it's not my goals, what I want to do. It's what they want to do. It's what's most important to them, and what are they trying to accomplish here, and what's most important in the transaction.
Can I add one thing? I know we're way over time or whatever. Is everyone okay if I add one thing here? The only thing I changed on mine, me and Darby do something similar, but I put my commission up here of 3%. Then I put all the non-negotiables like insurance, taxes. I put it all at the top, and I go, this is what's non-negotiable. Yeah. Then down here, I put the buyer's agent commission and all the other stuff, because then they go, are you willing to adjust this 3%? And I said, I'm not.
Yeah.
And I said, there's other agents that will. But if you don't hire me, I would go with the top agent that does charge 3%, because this agent right here that you're going to pay for is going to affect all the rest of this.
That's a great way to do. That's a great conversation.
And they're like, ooh. I'm like, so if you're going to spend money on anything, I do this, even if it's not me.
Yeah, that's a great way.
So something to add to it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Powerful. These are lots of really
great because I love this. This is awesome.
And then I do put here estimated due diligence repair. Say you're probably going to pay something for due diligence. Now it might be way more than that, it might be way less than that, but you're probably going to pay something, so budget. Just plan on it. So the next sheet down, this is our pricing and position sheet. This is a really cool sheet, guys, because what happens here is I say, cool, your average on market was, let's say, 30 days. If 30 days on your average on market, you're going to go to the price position strategy. If you want to start at the high price, great. We'll start at the 550 price or whatever it is. But I like to tell people if, with your average being 30s in the market, we suggest that around day 12, I call it 12-12-0 rule, around day 12 or after 12 showings, if there's no interest in the home, it's important we readjust and reevaluate. Mm-hmm. Now, every seller is going to be in the driver's seat. They're going to ultimately decide this, but I like to at least give them this information. Because again, if you stay in the market too long, what happens to your home?
Get stagnant.
Sell for less. We already talked about that, right? It's going to be more painful, more frustrating, and it'll sell for less money. So I like to give them that. So here's my high, here's my mid, and then hey, day whatever you call the day 29, day 30, we need to get the low price, right? Now it doesn't always work directly like this, but at least gives them a framework of how the net sheet correlates with time on market. That's all I'm trying to do, is create correlations, okay? So then I'm going to come down here. I think the next one. This is when I just got this image. I really like it. Overpriced homes don't just sell slower; they sell for less. Here's an example: 9 of 10 sold in 21 days, sold for $621. 4 of 10 sold for 90 plus days, they sold for less. It's just, again, people like to see stories versus just be told stories, right? So I like to. This is something we could share with clients. Okay, keep going down. I think. You've already done the work. This is the easy part. Just close the deal, right? So for a lot of agents, it's scary to be at that table and be like, okay, are you in a position where we're going to work together? Look, this is the easiest part of the conversation. I've done all the work to get to this place, and I already know if I'm going to work with it. Like, I already know that point, right? Hey, guys, are we at a place where we want to move forward together? Yeah, they've already told me these numbers work. They've already told me the timelines work. Great. Are we at a place where we're ready to rock and roll, make this happen? Or like, Graham, you're kind of like a 5 for 5 schmuck. Please leave my house and never come back. They usually laugh. They're like, no, we like you. Let's sign this out. I'm like, thank you. So we sign the document, right? We go through that. We sign the document. We close the deal. And we just set up a timeline now. Cool. We're going to activate on this day. I pull up my calendar on my phone and say, cool, we're today. We find the best days to activate are between these days here. Which days do you want to activate on this? Is I want to do that day? Great. We're going to have photography the next day. You're going to have all your stuff done before then. We're going to have cleaners coming the day before that. Whatever it is, right? We're going to give them the full shebang on that and make it happen. What I want to end with is this. This is just a system of growth. It's not perfect. It's not the only way to do it. It's just a way to do it. And the whole key in this category is to have, I'm going to go back up real quick on top of this, is just to have opportunity to grow. So there's an example of a photography professor that divided his class into 2 groups. He said, group 1 has to submit, so this group is group 1. Your job is to submit the perfect photo. And that's your grade. Give me one photo, the best photo out there. This group is based on quantity. You have to give me a photo every single day. If you give me a photo every single day, submit it within time, you will get an A.
Doesn't matter on the quality.
I just want quantity. I want quantity on this, I want quality on this, right? But what's interesting is, isn't there a correlation on that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is a correlation. Who do you think got the better grade at the end of this? The quantity group did.
They had higher quality pictures.
They had higher quality pictures because they became experts at the process, right? Mm-hmm. So if you want to become experts at CMAs and like, oh, Graham, I only do 4 listings a year. Yeah, 4 listings a year, doing 4 CMAs will not get it done for you. You will always be in group 1. And that's not going to work for you. It's not going to work for your client. You want to be in group 2. So if you don't have lots of listings, great, do what I did when I started. Just go to CMAs on every listing out there. Be like, welcome to do a CMA on this listing. And so I become so good at listings and so good at CMAs that I know exactly what I'm talking about every single time. Become a master of your craft. If you're not a master, you can control that. The controllable is not who works with me, who doesn't work with me. The controllable is your skill and your knowledge in this opportunity.
You don't deserve a $30,000 commission unless you bring
don't.
out value.
Like you don't,
Period.
right? Like you've got to be able to walk through this and be ready to have that perfect photo because of consistent action. So that's what I got for you here. Stop guessing and start pricing confidently. So 2 things here. Connect with me here. This is my link tree, so it gets you to my Instagram account, Facebook, YouTube, all that fun stuff. So connect there, and then get CMA process checklist. I'll send you over to you guys a checklist of how to go through the CMAs. Okay?
Yeah, if you want to ask questions or want to learn more from Graham, connect with him.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
But we want to help you guys out. We want to make sure you're successful. And there's so much abundant opportunities, guys. Yeah, this is what I do. This is how I do it. Does it mean that you're going to steal this and use it? No, I hope you use it, right? I hope you use some things from this. And I hope you make it your own. And I hope you serve clients at a higher level and better level than ever before. So, any questions? We wrap up here.
That was amazing.
That was amazing, yeah.
So
Who found value from this?
Very much.
That's amazing. And we still got people online too, which is awesome. Thank you guys for staying. I think we still do. Yeah, we have a bunch online. Does anyone online have any questions? And I'm so glad we recorded this because people are going to hit us up
yeah.
like crazy.
I will go back and watch
Yeah, and we'll post it in school,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
I think at the end of this month we're going to get rid of group me.
Okay.
Are you guys fair with that? So
Yes.
we'll set up everything in school that we already have in group me, but then that'll just force the people who won't go to school. They're either out or they're going to school. So that would be better. Yeah, because you can't have 3 things all over the place. Otherwise, we're trying to hit it all. So I can't thank you enough. This was awesome.
You're welcome.
As far as next week, we're nothing because we have
Yep, third week off. The fourth week we'll be here for hot
exactly
seats,
for
strategy
hot
session.
seats. Yeah.
Be here ready to go
So
talk
just
to
always
the market.
look at the calendar, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be here to guide us through on that 4th week, so I'll take care of that.
Thank you. You're the man. Oh, there is food back there. There's some snacks.
Yeah, we're snacks on the way out.
Yeah.
Hey, good for the closing. Hey.
Okay, so
Hey,
that's me.
is that good? You like that?
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, I got a book farm.
Yeah.
Bye, Jen.
See you, buddy.
I'm gonna stop the recording here.
Yeah, so I'll just share stuff through that.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be
Hey, so
awesome.
Graham, I wasn't gonna say anything, but here's something.
What do you mean, what form?
Yeah.
You got your ideas and all that stuff, right?